along those same lines, you talked about you had a petition. Well, if that petition had gone to referendum, if we had allowed that to go ahead and happen, we would have had that referendum about the same time y'all ended up reaching this compromise. And it may not have passed. That same leadership that you talked about may have actually gotten it through if we had convinced the public. We'd have still been in March, might have had it passed, and you might have had your $12 million. But even that aside, there are other issues, and you talk about it's bad for a referendum on one side, yet you want one on the court building. I'm still a little bit confused by all those positions. But overall, you've taken a general position of not obligating boards in future boards in the long term. But you talk about long-range planning. What is long-range planning then, if it's not some sense of you can't obligate in some cases and not obligate in others and yada, 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 you end up all over the place that way. What in your mind then is long-range planning?
Well, let me come back to, and and it's possible that what you see from Columbus is not what we actually see here as a community in Starkville. I was elected 4 years ago. When I ran for alderman, I said there would be a referendum on a justice complex. I realized for some people campaign promises don't mean anything. For me as a principal, I promised that we'd have one, and that's why we indeed had one. We have, in fact, obligated future boards with a road bond loan that we took out. We, in fact, obligated future boards with the $3 million loan that we took out. It's going to be not paid back over 5 years. We actually took it out over 10 years, so we've obligated up to 3 boards. So I understand what position you want to put me in. I don't think the facts actually support that. But what does long-range planning mean to me? It is a 10-year master plan, and it's not just what we've done historically, which is a within the city limits of Starkville master plan. This election is a unique opportunity for Starkville. We have a new president at Mississippi State, a new CEO at our business partnership, a new superintendent at our schools, and of course we have a supportive hospital. And each of those entities have said what's good for one is good for the other. What's good for one is good for all. We need to be talking as a community. What are our needs? Our Sportsplex building that we've just built, we have a new $5 million building. And then you look at what we've done at the hospital and others. We need to sit down and think about, we have limited resources as a community. How do we prioritize things? So for me, it's at least a 10-year horizon. I would intend to lead a 20-year master plan. It's not specific to a comprehensive plan for building development. It's what do we want our community to look like? Let's get this roadmap going. We have a new board come July 1, and they're looking at the same issues that I am. We want to have a managed strategy for how Starkville grows. For too long it's been, whether it be economic development or anything else, it's what happens is how Starkville grows. We need to control that. And what I'm learning from a bonding standpoint, you want to make sure that you borrow on a time horizon for how long that's useful. I came in from my personal house standpoint, for example, saying, well, I want the shortest loan period I can. From a governmental standpoint, it's a slightly different time horizon. And so, we're learning as we go through this. But for me, long-range planning is critical for us, but it can't just be the city of Starkville and our isolated needs. It needs to include those other entities that make up our community.
Then what about annexation?
Annexation is problematic for the city of Starkville at this point, and here's why. Number one, when the city annexed back in '97, we did not have a plan to provide all of the city services. Now, we've done much of it, but we haven't completed all of it. So I don't know how you go out and annex something new when you haven't taken care of all of the existing. Secondly, a lot of people talk about annexation in terms of we want population growth, and I understand that's what Columbus is doing. For me, I'm not that excited or that be my mission to have Starkville be the largest community in the Golden Triangle. I know for some people they want to put that on their wall and be really excited about it. That's not what drives me. I want Starkville to be the best community in this area of Mississippi, not in a competition for population. And then third, you have an issue of where we would perhaps most like to grow. We're contained to the east by the university, and not unlike other communities have boundaries by rivers and other things. Right now, I think we should spend the same effort in partnering with the county to make sure that the growth that is happening just outside of Starkville's boundaries is appropriate for our overall community. But we have this long stacked up list of things we need. Annexation is not on my priority list.
Well, how do you do that with the county? There hasn't been that great sense of cooperation, and there are lots of things going on the city's borders that are directly impacting the city. I mean, there are two developments to the west that are prime examples, and you can pick a number of other ones.
Right.
It doesn't behoove the county to work with you. I mean, they want the growth, and they don't mind you taking the burden of those people coming into town and burdening your law enforcement, those people coming into town and
Sure.
partying at nights and all of those things, and them getting the property tax revenue and you getting the problem. So how do you make that happen if it's not going to be annexation?
Well, it starts with a certain level of cooperation that we haven't had, and it's led at the partnership and with the university and the schools, et cetera. You know, if we annex another mile out, we're going to have the exact same conversation. Well, they're going to have development just outside of that 1 mile border. So, you know, you have to. That is not the solution, just to go out a little bit further. The city said, and I understand the decision, we're going to annex in the new bypass that was proposed, and of course now that was built. The problem was we didn't have a good plan for how we can pay for it. And as I understand annexation, in any direction we want to go, it will not pay for itself initially. We are not in a position financially to do annexation, so you have to partner with these entities. I've gotten a sense from the Board of Supervisors that while they may not be ready for land use planning, they do want to have a better relationship with the city, and they want to partner with those other groups to do what's right. We are going to have to partner with the county to have a mega site right here in this area. You're going to see more cooperation because there's a greater understanding it has to happen, otherwise we're not going to succeed as a community. I don't know how you promise that we're going to have more cooperation, but you can start as a principle that we believe in it and that those other parties see it as in their financial self-interest to be a partner with us.
Other questions? I got lots more, and I don't want to hog the time.
Sumner.
Well, just briefly, if you come back and you hit the nail on the head, I mean, we can't control what happens outside our municipal corporate boundaries. And you've talked about long-range planning, master plan, outside of comprehensive plan, but the comprehensive plan that our board adopted at the beginning of this term addresses a lot of those issues exactly, you know, that you're talking about. So are you saying that we need to start that process over and get rid of that one that plans out, or are you saying we need to actually implement, and if it is we actually need to implement, then why haven't we been implementing this current administration that you and I are both part of?
Right. You know, I've heard another candidate say, you know, we don't have a comprehensive plan or we don't have a land use plan, and you have to really wonder, well, I wonder where they're living, because in fact we do have both of those things, and all of our property is owned, et cetera. Implementing a comprehensive plan does not happen overnight, despite what someone may say. It is a methodical, step-by-step process. Our board was hindered by not having a professional planner on staff for a much longer period than we ever expected. But now that we do have one, we have been going step-by-step and implementing ordinances, and none of those being easy ordinances, because they require significant change and negotiation within the community to make that happen. The one thing that I see that we have as a community is we have too much commercial property. And here's why I say that's a problem. It devalues the other commercial property. That's how you can have, in the two busiest streets in town, Old 82 and Highway 12, that should be the most expensive property in our town, you can actually afford to have a hand wash, car wash, right in those areas. It's because we have too much commercial property. We should be directing that commercial property to areas where we want to grow and develop. It is a challenge. It is part of a process that there's winners and losers associated with that. But as a community, we need to move forward with what's best for the overall community, and that's part of a process. But you know, I think the fact that we have gone piece by piece, ordinance by ordinance, shows a commitment to that comprehensive plan. Yes, at some point, and I don't think it's at 5 years and another year that you redo your comprehensive plan. And I know there's some academic theory that says where we are.